Dr. Dre and DJ Premier are both dope producers in hip hop. They the best of the best. It really comes down to a matter of opinion if you ask which one is better. But we can compare and contrast the two of them to measure which one could scientifically be considered better than the other in the world of hip hop. I'm not trying to turn this into an East Coast West Coast thing, but it might naturally turn into that because people describe Dr. Dre beats as having more of a West Coast feel, while DJ Premier is described as having more of an East Coast sound. What's the difference, you may ask? Well, let's explore it real quick. West Coast hip hop beats are more laid back, bass heavy, influenced by a lot of Parliament, Funkadelic, Ohio Players type grooves from the 70s, you know what I mean? Keyboards and horns and all that. It's crazy because it wasn't always like that. Back in the day, West Coast niggas was breaking and pop locking to a lot of electronic hip hop like Egyptian Lover, Pac Jam, you know what I mean? Jams like that. And besides that, they were spinning break beats just like the East Coast. That was until the G-Funk era. East Coast beats are way more drum driven, usually got a faster tempo, and we sample the breaks of the song a lot more. So East Coast beats sample the breaks from songs, West Coast beats sample the grooves. It's a difference. But the beautiful thing is, it's all hip hop. Now that we got that out of the way, let's compare and contrast Dr. Dre and DJ Premier, shall we? Dr. Dre came out around 88 when he produced NWA's Straight Outta Compton and Eazy-E's first album, Easy Does It. They came out like almost the same time. DJ Premier came out with Gang Starr in 1989, a year after NWA. So Dre got preem by a year on longevity. For real though, Dr. Dre been in the music game a lot longer, but not necessarily in hip hop though. I remember vividly getting dressed for school to Carter and Sanborn in the morning on Power 99 FM, and they playing Before You Turn Off the Lights, Let's Get One Thing, you know how that go. That was the world-class Wrecking Crew with Dr. Dre. He a vet in the music game. Like I said, West Coast beats sample a lot of funk grooves. I would say Dr. Dre started that trend with the Chronic album. Now, I might be wrong, but it feels like that's what happened. The music was ill and the beats was dope. It's just that Dre samples are straight rips of the original song. And they be popular songs a lot of times too. Most times when Dre samples, you can tell where he got the sample from right away. Think about Nothing But a G Thing or Let Me Ride, straight rips. The funny thing is, before the G-Funk era, Dre beats sounded basically like East Coast beats, like I mentioned earlier. He sampled a lot of break beats like we did on the East Coast, but even then, he would keep the sample straight. He didn't try to chop it up a whole lot. Premier, on the other hand, when he samples, he usually samples some obscure shit you never heard of from back in the day. Then on top of that, he chops up and rearranges and speeds up and slows down the beat so much you can hardly tell where the sample came from. Shit, the artists probably themselves couldn't tell that Preem sampled their music. That's how far he go with it. Something that DJ Premier does that Dre don't do a whole lot of is cutting and scratching. I was always a fan of Gang Starr because of the cuts Premier provided, almost as much as Guru on the mic. Clean, precise cuts, you know what I mean? Respectfully, he always reminded me of a Philly DJ like Cash Money or Jazzy Jeff. DJ Premier is the king of the scratch hook. That's when the DJ scratches the words of the hook instead of or with the MC. Like, for example, on the song Take It Personal, Premier cuts the words Take It Personal. Most of the songs go like that. No one does it like him. I went to a Gang Starr show one time, and yes, Premier did cut every song up live on stage right in front of us. It was dope. The man's a robot, I'm telling you. They stole my homie's car out the parking lot of the Electric Factory that night when we was in the show. It was wild. Dr. Dre don't do a whole lot of cutting and scratching on his records. I mean, he do a little cutting here and there, but you're not going to get a whole turntable exhibition with Dre. And I understand he can cut, so I don't know why he don't incorporate that more into his music. What Dre can do is play instruments and arrange music. Like I said, he came from the school of R&B, so he know how to work the strings and the piano chords and all that, and arrange those lush landscapes that sound like movie scores sometimes. Premier dope, but he don't play no instruments as far as I know. I don't think that takes away from his talent for making hip-hop beats, but I think that gives Dre an edge. Now, this is a little controversial, but I heard that Dre outsources his beats to other producers and puts his name on it, maybe after he add a little sauce to it. I heard he subcontracts out some of his production like he a home remodeler or something. Then he put his name on it. I ain't never heard nothing like that with DJ Premier, and if that's true, which I kinda know it is, I think that's a major strike against Dre in this argument. Dr. Dre beats, his production does sound big and clean and polished though, you gotta admit. Even beats of his that don't necessarily move me just sound so crisp and clear and big and rounded out. DJ Premier beats, the sound of his production is definitely a grittier, rawer sound. I mean, it's clean and clear and whatnot, of course, but Dre shit is just on another level. I don't know if it's the studio they use or his recording techniques or what, but the Dr. Dre sound is huge, it's big. Dr. Dre is an R&B producer who turned into a hip-hop producer. That's what gives him that musical edge. However, the fact that a whole lot of his samples are straight rips, he don't cut, and I don't even know if he do the beats himself anymore or all strikes against him. DJ Premier beats might not sound as big and as clean as Dre beats, but Primo gonna give you those scratches and cuts in all the right places, and he gonna give you scratch hooks. Personally, it ain't hip-hop if it ain't got no zigga, you know what I mean? Premier chops the samples up to the point where they unrecognizable, and I never heard of him outsourcing beats. Both Dre and Primo's beats have a unique signature sound, but if I had to choose which one is better, I would go with DJ Premier. He's the quintessential hip-hop DJ producer.